Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brody Consulting Group. To get more information about our publishing and coaching services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Fred Herbert, author of Business Turnaround Blueprint. Fred, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. I'm glad to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Well, I should probably preface this with my experience in books is as a business writer. And so this may not apply to writing a novel or anything, but the one thing I think of is writing a book like I do is focusing on taking the reader on a journey of where they are right now to where they want to go. And so as I wrote my book, I really developed them from developing a process of how I could help a business owner get to where they need to go in their business. The first book was about helping a business owner prepare their business to sell. And the second book, or the most recent one, was about turning around a struggling business. So still the process was the same, is just knowing where the business is now and where you want them to go. So that's kind of the process I used that worked really well for me. But again, that applies mostly to a business type of book.
Yeah, those are definitely great strategies. And I feel some of the strategies you could use across different genres as well, because I think one of the main thing is always you have to have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, the whole process is pretty complicated in my mind, or it has been in the two books I've published. But both of my books were self-published and on Amazon, and my second book became a bestseller. But there is a lot of technical stuff in getting the book ready, even self-publishing, with getting the text formatted properly and getting the cover designed and getting everything just right so you can, even in a self-published book. So, I think the hardest part is just knowing all the steps that you have to go through and make sure you do it all right. And I guess that's sometimes where having someone to guide you through that can help you with that. But there is a lot of detail that needs to be done to properly publish a book. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, there's nothing, I would say there's nothing difficult about the process, but there's just so many tedious little things that come up. I mean, literally hundreds of things can come up on any type of journey with this, with getting the book published, with getting it marketed. There's always so many tedious little parts. I think that's the biggest challenge, is just making sure that you're prepared for all those different things.
I agree.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that worked well.
Well, for my second book that became a bestseller, what we ended up doing on it was offering the Kindle version of the book for a starter of 99 cents for about the first 3 days. And then I just did a lot of posting on social media. I have a pretty big list on LinkedIn and Facebook, and had a lot of friends push out some posts about my book being available for 99 cents. And that really helped get a lot of traffic those first couple of days and helped drive it up on Amazon as a bestseller. And that was really probably the main strategy that I used. Now, I talk about my book every once in a while in posts, but that very first launch there was all about making it very affordable and getting it into people's hands. And everybody writes a book for different reasons, but I wasn't really trying to make a ton of money off of book sales. I use the book really as an opportunity to show businesses what I can do and how I can help them. And so in a way, it's a lead generation tool for me as well.
So you also had the paperback version, is that correct?
Yes, I've got the paperback as well.
Yeah, it's one of the things I always mention is that having that paperback, it's the modern day business card. It's such a warmer lead when you give someone an autographed paperback copy of your book that says, hey, can't wait to start working with you, versus just giving out that business card. It's such a powerful thing to have.
Yeah, and anytime I have a meeting with a potential client, the very first thing I do is I give them a signed copy of my book. And that's a lot better than a business card. They keep that, and it's a great way to show, your expertise.
Well, it's even better too if there's someone else in your field, if they're meeting with them, and you're the one that has the book. And if everything else is pretty much equal, that's going to be the tiebreaker, because having that book, it sets you up as an expert. It sets you up as the authority in your area of expertise. It really is a game changer.
Yeah, and that's why I wrote my second book. Is I really do believe in the strategy, especially for a business consultant as myself. It really does make a big difference, and it is a game changer.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
My favorite book really, everything is about business with me, so my favorite book really is a business book called E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And I love that book. Michael Gerber did a really good job in this book. I don't know how many people are familiar with the E-Myth, but E stands for the entrepreneurial myth. And Michael Gerber talks about how people that start businesses have an entrepreneurial seizure where they all of a sudden decide they want a business, but they don't know really what they're getting into. Well, he talks in that book about how you have to run a business like a franchise, and one of the things, that's what I'm really big on, is improving business systems. And he really talked about that, how your business is just one big system. If you run it like a franchise, you're running all those systems. And franchises have like a 95% success rate, while independent companies and businesses have like a 95% failure rate over about 10 years. Well, part of that reason is because franchises have all their processes and systems documented, and they train the people in those systems. So I just think his point to any business owner about how you need to run your business with systems and franchise, like a franchise, is just critical. And anytime I meet any business owner, I ask them, have you read E-Myth? And if not, you should. And that's the book I talk about with any potential client as well.
Yeah, I am a huge believer in systems and frameworks, because you can take those and you plug it into anything, whether it's publishing, whether it's podcasting. When you have those systems and you have those frameworks, that is what's going to help make your business successful. Would you agree with that, Fred?
Yeah, I agree completely, yes.
Well, for our final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Well, my favorite quote really is from a fictional character. It's from Yoda, something he said to Luke Skywalker in the movie Star Wars, and he says, do or do not, there is no try. And I quote that all the time, and my wife or my kids or even business associates, if they say, I'll try to do this or I'll try to do that, I'll remind them, do or do not, there is no try. And I probably need that for myself as much as anybody else, because it's something that you just can't try. Try is not a strong word. You have to be focused on doing, and try just kind of maybe gives you an escape hatch. So I'm real big on that quote, and like I say, I use it frequently.
Well, Fred, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
My website is www.fredherbert.com. That's FredHerbert.com.
Well, Fred, thank you again for being a guest on our show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me, Paul.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.